Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. Today I've got a great upload for you. Some amazing Dogman encounters to share with you. But before we get into these encounters, a couple links to share. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. Those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypastas, fanfiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that don't really fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything that you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. I also, a little while ago, started a GoFundMe page to help raise some money for urban exploration, cryptid hunting, and ghost hunting videos. I'll be starting those very, very soon. So far, I have an SLS cam, an EVP recorder, and a couple of trail cams. Now, enough of the jibber-jabber chit-chat, whatever you want to call it. Let's get on with these Dogman encounters, shall we? So some time ago, I reached out to you guys and asked you guys for your encounters, whatever it may be, Dogman, Sasquatch, paranormal. And you guys responded and flooded my emails with some great encounters, and I appreciate it. I have them all sitting on my desk, and I've covered some. Today, I'm going to share with you an amazing Dogman encounter. Now, normally I reword things. I don't change the story. I just reword it for it being easier for me to read and shorten down things. This I'm going to share with you guys in its entirety because it was just an amazing email and I enjoyed it, and I know you guys will as well. So this is our first Dogman encounter, and it's coming to us from a subscriber. Hey Jeff, you said you need a Dogman encounter. Well, this is a good time to tell you mine. Before I tell you, I'll say I'm a friend of Vic Cundiff. I never felt like I could go on his show. I never knew my experiences with these creatures was not normal. Until I heard of Dogman encounters, then my PTSD went through the roof. Basically, my whole life has been a paranormal roller coaster, and I'm at the point where I really don't care who believes me or not. A lot of things have happened to me, and I know I'm not crazy. I've just learned to live with all this wild stuff. If you want, you don't have to mention Vic. People might cause drama or whatever. You have a good way about you to rewrite the story. I won't get into every single detail because it'd be too long, and feel free to break things up into more than one story. Well, it started when my family decided to go with friends of ours to their cabin. This took place in Hillsborough County, New Hampshire. This happened in 1965 when I was 7 years old. I was going to the pond on a daily basis and got pretty bored with swimming and fishing. I noticed a path that went off the east of the trail, so I decided to take it. I loved trees and animals. I came up to a row of pines off the path and started climbing on the roots because they stuck out of the ground. I was at the tree near the path, and something told me to look around the tree to the path ahead. I looked and saw what I deemed as a black wolf. I hid behind the tree with my back to it, and as I went to look around the corner, it was right there, and we locked eyes. I slipped on the tree roots a couple of times and finally got on the path face to face with this wolf. I brought my face up close to see the muzzle, teeth, and tongue. I looked at its eyes, and they were black. I could see the white around the edges of its eyes as they moved, and I wanted to pet it. Now, me not knowing what a real wolf looked like, just figured that's wolf. To describe this creature, it was very tall at the shoulder. I couldn't reach to its back at all, and it had pointed ears with tufts. The mouth had pink gums with black spots, kind of like a dog. The tongue was dark, not red, kind of black. The canines were larger than a dog's. There was a thick mane that went around its head, with some going over its shoulders. I don't remember a tail at the time. I got it to let me touch its muzzle and mane, but it pulled away pretty quick. I got the feeling it didn't want me. there anymore, and I started to cry. So I started walking back to the main trail and heard my brother calling in a distance, so I called back. I turned around and the wolf was gone. I never heard it leave. In fact, I never heard anything when I was in the presence of it. No birds, frogs, or insects. It was like I was in a vacuum or something. When I got to the trail, things seemed normal again. I heard birds, insects, etc. Okay, Jeff, the encounters didn't stop there. That night, my mom told all the kids they had to sleep in tents outside. I was horrified. I don't like the dark. Back then, I hated it. Well, I ended up in a tent with my brother. I couldn't sleep and was afraid of every noise I heard. Well, the second night, my brother was invited into the boys' tent, which meant no girls allowed. I was all alone in the tent listening to the night noises. Around maybe midnight, I heard a bipedal and quadrupedal walking towards my tent. I'm thinking it's some guy with his dog. As soon as the dog hit my tent, it sniffed the perimeter. I'm thinking in my head, dog, go away and take your master with you. I was in this very small, beat-up junior army tent, and my back was towards one wall of it. As soon as the creature rounded the corner, it stuck its nose into my back and did one of those long sniffs that dogs do to really get your scent. Well, I panicked and yelled so loud and bombed out of the tent, not looking back, and started banging on the cabin door. My mom answered the door, and I pushed my way in. She wasn't happy I woke her and everyone else up. She tried to get me out of the cabin, but I refused, so I laid on the floor, and I could hear from the open window something outside. I moved to the wall, and I heard scratching on the outside at the other end of the wall. I scratched back from where I was, and the creature moved very fast to my location and proceeded to scratch from the outside. I whispered, I'm sorry, but I'm scared. I don't know why I was apologizing to this creature. As I think about it, it seems funny now. Well, the next night, my mom locked the cabin door and told her friend not to let me back in. I thought that was cruel, seeing I was only 7 and was scared this creature would come back. Well, it did come back, and I was lying looking out the mesh window at the top of the tent. I saw a very large silhouette that looked like a dog standing up. I peeked outside to see a tan-colored wolf standing on 2 legs, and I got back inside my sleeping bag, not knowing what to do next. I covered my head and prayed it would leave. Well, to make matters worse, the black one was outside my tent as well because it came into the tent. It couldn't fit very well, so it stuck its head in. I removed the sleeping bag from my head and looked. I sat up, and then it grabbed my sleeping bag and pulled me out of the tent, sleeping bag and all. I looked up at the tan one and was scared. I just looked at me. Well, this is becoming a nightly routine. They show up after everyone is asleep, pull me and my sleeping bag out of the tent, and I'd be looking up at 2 wolves and push me to get me on my feet and follow them. This went on for about a week or more. Some nights we would run into other campers. They'd jump into the brambles and hide while I would have to explain why I was out there all alone. One night I told this teenager I was with my dog and that he was in the bushes. Then the guttural growls would start and I'd see the look on the person's face. I would giggle at the situation and tell them, don't worry, he won't bother you. And the teenager proceeded to walk fast away from me. Jeff, there are some other hair-raising things that happen, but I'm not sure if I should say. They just seem totally unbelievable, even though they did happen to me. My God, I could write a book. There's so much to tell. I'll tell you what happened to me and my daughter in 2016. We were in a kitchen. I've since moved from the East Coast to the West Coast. We're talking about Dogman, and my daughter and I heard a howl in the distance. We both looked at each other and said, "Did you hear that?" We both stopped what we were doing and tried to stay quiet to see if we were imagining it. We heard the dogs from up the road bark, then another howl, but it was closer. As the howlings got closer, the dogs stopped barking. I immediately told my daughter to remove the doggy door while I went around and locked the doors and windows. I made sure that my dog was not in the yard. We had a sliding glass doors on a patio. I covered the glass with a curtain so nothing could look in and closed all my blinds. It was dusk and getting dark. I told my daughter, don't look out the windows. We tried to continue to do normal things without too much fear. I heard something along the back side of the house in the alleyway. Then the scratching started on the wall. I peeked out at the end of the blind towards the alley and heard something at the bathroom window. I ran to my daughter's room, closing the bathroom door, telling her to use my bathroom since there were no windows. I heard growling and something climbing on the roof. After some time, things seemed to quiet down. Then there was a huge bang, like something was trying to come through the wall near my bedroom. The whole house shook, and even my dog started barking at the noise. I was scared to death. I kept my dog in all night and didn't care if she went potty in the house. My daughter slept with me as well. The strangest thing happened a few days after that incident. I heard a helicopter very close to my home. I went outside to see what was going on. I exited out the patio to see Black Ops helicopter flying so low over my house. I could see a man with black army clothes on and a weird gun in his hand. He pointed it at me and I ran inside my house. It didn't seem to fire bullets. I really don't know what it was for. He was hanging outside the door, looking at me near my glass door. He talked to the pilot and they left. They came back a number of days flying overhead, but I stopped going out there. It stopped after that, and then the lone Dogman never came back as far as I know. I'm telling you, Jeff, pardon my French, but some weird shit has been happening. I heard that some people are Dogman magnets, and it doesn't matter where you go, they'll find you. Jeff, I'd like to remain anonymous. I don't care if anyone believes my encounter or not. Also, during my encounters, I've had a juvenile Sasquatch bother me for a while I was fishing. A lot of crazy stuff. I have alien encounters as well. I've had a paranormal life, like I said. I hope this helps your channel. God bless. Today's second Dogman encounter brings us to Hawk Point, Missouri, March 29th, 2018. It was about 2 years ago. I was going to my mother-in-law's house to pick up my husband after him and his brother had finished working on his Jeep. It was already dark and I was coming up the back way to her house, which is mostly all gravel roads through the farmland. I'd just gotten off the blacktop and passed a big farm when this thing jumped from one side of the creek behind the farm across the road in front of me to the other side, which is field and woods. I stopped the car. First I thought maybe it was a donkey, but it was too big and fast, and the tail looked more like a dog's. I tried to make sense of it. It was gray, so it wasn't a deer or a cow, and it was not a horse. There were no hoof beats. It was quiet and fast. I haven't seen anything again, but there have been reports of dogs missing and killed. Also, the farm where this thing came from used to have cows, but now they don't have any anymore. This is from Hawk Point, Missouri by Troy, Missouri. Thanks for listening. Today's third and final Dogman encounter. My husband saw a creature in Orfordville, Wisconsin back in the late 90s off of Old Highway 11. He was picking up speed to continue onto the highway, and this wolf was on the side of the road on all fours, and then it got up and walked in front of my husband's car, and it looked right at him. He said the wolf creature had a huge muzzle and yellow eyes. He said it ran on 2 legs across the road into a cornfield. Needless to say, my husband got the heck out of there. Believe. My husband and I live in Janesville, Wisconsin, which is less than an hour from Elkhorn. In 1998 or so, my husband was coming back from visiting a friend of ours in Orfordville, Wisconsin, and he saw something on the right side of his car as he was driving down Highway 11, heading back to where we live. This creature was down on all fours at first, but then got up on two legs. It had a long snout, very hairy, about 6 feet tall. There are things we can't explain. Wow, what a great upload today. You know, I felt honored that subscriber reached out to me. Not only did they share so much detail, but being a friend of Vic and not going on his show and going on mine, I mean, you know, mine is just uploads. I'm just some punk guy, you know. I'm not Vic Cundiff, the grandfather of Dogman encounters. You know, I feel honored. And they were quite amazing, you know, just blew my mind when I read them. The third encounter was definitely right there with the second. You know, you're driving down the road and the creature comes in front of you. That's where most of the encounters are seen, on the road. I really enjoy those. Even though they're short, you know, you do get detail, but it just, I don't know how to explain it and how it makes me feel. I just love all of these encounters, and I hope you guys do too. I'm just gonna end it today. I got a big smile on my face. That subscriber story just, I don't know. I feel blessed and honored to be able to share that with you guys. So with that, I bid you farewell.